Hi, everyone. Although we've been given 3 questions to answer this week, I thought I would just kind of put them all into one and answer them into one big, concise bundle together. And I'll go over them first, and then we'll go into our little presentation. It says, based on your understanding of a Christian worldview, how would you define psychopathology? What does the Bible say about abnormality? And what is the secular view of abnormality? That was easy for me to say. But I wanted to look at this first by the secular psychologist or psychiatrist. And there's just like 4, as an example, 4 different types of psychology that we could look at here. One is psychoanalytical. The whole idea of Freud and free association, the id, the ego, and the superego. And someone from that persuasion may look at the person from that point of view. Then there's behavioral and modifying and changing behaviors like B.F. Skinner and that kind of thing. And cognitive, our big thing right now is motivational interviewing and the change model, and we're all familiar with it, and these are great things. And then the last one is positive psychology. I like positive psychology. It identifies the strengths that we can improve on instead of just looking at the medical model and the disease model, but looking at how we can be better people. But I think what they're all missing is the spiritual part of man. God said we're a tripart being, and when secular psychology goes into a counseling or into a therapy session, they have one hand behind their back because they're not addressing the full idea of what a person is. And I just got done taking this course here. It's called Psychology, Theology, and Spirituality in Christian Counseling. It's by McMinn, and it was from 2011. And although it was a little while back, he has some good points to make. He says that the Christian psychology is a lot more complex than what secular psychology is, because we have to integrate the entire human being. He says it's multifaceted, and he says, while these others can just focus on their narrow edge of what they specialize in, the Christian psychologist or the Christian counselor has to go further and look at all aspects of the person. And so I was looking at some things in the Bible, and there's a number of instances of psychopathology in the Bible. I mean, we could go over hundreds, but just for one was Cain. I looked at him, and it looks like he has a severe conduct disorder, among other things. You had jealousy, envy, rebellion. And then I also was looking at Joseph. Joseph from the Bible, the coat of many collars and all that. And his brothers were jealous of him, sold him into slavery. Then he was accused of adultery with his master's wife after he'd already been, put into prison again. And it's funny, in Psalms, it talks about how that the iron entered his soul. And this is an interpretation from the Common Book of Prayer that was used for hundreds and hundreds of years, and several editions of the Bible identify it as such. And what it talks about here is epigenetics. And I wanted to see something here that I've got a study right before me from PubMed, and it's by Kellerman, and it's from 2013, and the title of it is Epigenetic Transmission of Holocaust Trauma. Can Nightmares Be Inherited? And what they found out after the Holocaust, they found out that the genes of the children of the Holocaust victims were coded. And they deduced from all of that it was from the trauma that they had suffered in the camps, that their children were suffering multi-generational suffering. And I think going forward in the field of psychopathology, we're going to find out that it's not just psychology, it's not physiology, it's a combination of all of them together. And the Bible talks about something. It talks about hope deferred makes the heart sick. God knew what he was doing. He knew that if we did not have hope, the hope of the gospel, the hope of being saved by Jesus, by us entering, bringing him into our hearts and the Holy Spirit coming to live within us, we would have no hope. And with that hope, we don't have a heart that's sick. And we've actually know through science now that a broken heart can kill a person. These emotions, stress, can kill a person. And God knew all these things going in. So when we go to counsel people, when we go to talk to them about psychopathology, we can't leave out the spiritual aspect of our being and of their being. And so I think going forward, we all should not be ashamed of the Christianity that we have in our heart, that we bring it forth and we say it is a valid science and we can prove that. And so I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. Thanks.